Our grade champions when continuing our book, The Puppy Place, where every puppy finds a home. And we are on the middle of page 55. We are moving right along with this book. The middle of page 55. All right, here we go. Steve climbed out of the truck and Freckles leapt out after him. "Freckles!" Charles cried, opening his arms. The pup came running over, wagging his tail. "Hi, friend! Hi, friend!" He sniffed Charles and let him scratch his head. But when Charles tried to hug him, he pulled away. Charles was disappointed, but he understood. Freckles was still a little shy. "It's okay, pal," he said. "I get it. I'll be patient." "Hop in," said Steve. "We've got one more stop to make." Charles got into the back seat with Freckles, and Dad climbed into the front seat next to Steve. "Where are we headed?" he asked. "To my friend Chloe's farm," Steve said. "I got word at the post office that she needs a favor from me." "What kind of favor?" Dad asked. Charles was wondering too. "You'll see," said Steve, smiling a mysterious smile. Charles sat back and let Freckles put his paws on his lap. He scratched the soft fur behind the puppy's floppy ears. Charles couldn't decide whether he liked the brown ear or the freckled ear best. Finally, he decided he liked them both. It was the mixture of the two colors that made Freckles so special. Freckles gazed up at him with half-closed eyes, a contented look on his face. "I was okay living in the woods by myself, but I have to admit that I could get used to this petting thing. It's pretty nice." Steve whistled as he drove along, steering the truck carefully to avoid the deepest of the muddy ruts in the road. Finally, he turned up a long driveway, also muddy, and bumped along until he pulled to a stop in front of a big red barn. He tooted the horn a couple of times, and a woman popped out from behind the barn. She waved. "Hurry," she called, "just in time. Come on out back." "Better leave Freckles in the truck," Steve said to Charles. "Chloe's got a lot of critters here, and we don't know how he'd act around them." Charles hated to leave Freckles, but he was curious about what they were doing at Chloe's farm. Did she need help fixing something? Lifting something? Steve led them around to the back of the barn. There stood Chloe in the middle of a fence pen, surrounded by a crowd of big woolly sheep. She had rosy cheeks and sparkling eyes, and cradled in her arms was a tiny white lamb. It had the cutest face and funny ears that stuck out sideways. Chloe grinned at Steve. "You sure about this? I know you're busy too this time of year." Steve shrugged. "Busy? But I'm not going anywhere. And I've got some excellent helpers." He introduced Charles and his father. Chloe nodded. "Great. You really only need to take him for a night until I get caught up enough to take over the bottle feeding. We had 7 other lambs born last night and this morning, and more to come. Lambing season, it's always hectic." "Wait, are we taking a lamb home?" Charles asked. He stared at the tiny fluffy animal in Chloe's arms. It was the most adorable thing he had ever seen. It almost seems to be smiling back at him. "Well, that's the plan," Steve said. "I've helped out Chloe before at lambing season, and I thought you'd enjoy it. What do you think?" "It's a lot of work, but it's fun too," Chloe told Charles. "You'll need a bottle every couple of hours, and you'll need to keep him warm and quiet." "But why can't his mom take care of him?" Charles asked. Chloe bit her lip. "Well, she had 3 lambs," she said, "and she can really only feed and take care of 2. So this one was kind of left out, I guess." She shook her head sadly as she looked down at the lamb in her arms. "It happens every year. If we bottle feed them and take good care of them, They can usually rejoin the flock after a while. Charles looked at Steve. What about Freckles? Steve shrugged. I think we can work it out. He explained to Chloe about the puppy. It's that one who's been floating around as a stray, he said. We're just taking care of him for a few days until he gets back on his feet. Then we'll find him a home. He's a good pup, not a mean bone in his body. I think if we keep them separate, it'll be okay. Chloe nodded. She seemed distracted. Look, I've got to get back to the barn. I'm expecting more lambs any minute. I packed up a bunch of supplies for you. She jutted her chin at a cloth grocery bag near the gate. Steve grabbed the bag. Charles, why don't you take the lamb, he said. Charles' eyes grew wide. Me? He asked. Okay, we're going to stop there and we'll be on page 61, chapter 6 next time. Well, now we have a puppy and a lamb. It's going to be exciting. Thanks so much, boys and girls. See you next time. Bye.